Wah, 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 wah. Well, yesterday wasn't great. Today was just as bad. Giving up the entirety of our 5% day over the last two. Um, Today we're down 2.5. Um, how many days till earnings? 5. Yes, it's Thursday. We have tomorrow to trade. Monday and Tuesday to trade. 3 trading days. 2 of them will be glorious weekend. Um, and no earnings run up. They're obviously not at this point. Nope. You know how hard it would have to run to even be considered an earnings run up at this point. Get more earnings consolidation, more earnings accumulation. Um, and it's been a long time since we've not had that. Now this could just be downward pressure, post bond world, uh, that 007 life, right? So, um, we were looking good. We reclaimed the 21, and then we were challenging the 50 on the 1 day. We give them both back. It's not good. Not great. We're still respecting this bullish order block on the 1 day. Um, Now, as long as that doesn't invalidate, we're going to be okay. But if it does invalidate, then we're looking at a bearish breaker block um, from an order block, right? So uh, we would see, price break through it, which is the invalidation of it, changing it from an order block to a breaker block. Then we are going to retrace into it, and this is where your average trader, your technical trader, is going to take a short position, is going to sell their longs or take shorts, right? Because it does not look good. So, um, of course, that can be invalidated as well, right? Nothing is set in stone. It's just forward looking based on the current and past situation. So, um, even if we broke through this order block into the manipulation leg, reclaimed into the now would be bearish breaker block, we might not necessarily dump down. We could invalidate that new setup, invalidating the breaker to go higher. That could be. And then we've secured the manipulation leg in our power of 3 AMD pattern, um, which I'm not discounting yet. I'm not throwing it out. We're going to leave it there. And I want to see it just totally not play out, right? Because if it, otherwise it stays. Because it's the moment I delete it that it happens, right? Um, Classic. Okay, so, but with that being said, we do have a bit of a market structure shift here, which is great. Rejecting down from it, but the fact that we got it at all is pretty good, right? So, let's just bounce off here. Uh, grab some supply, and we're back to a demand. And then earnings is going to be great. We're going to blow it out of the water. Um, we're talking about this bullish order block here. We also have a bearish order block in the past, right? So, um, institutions loading up one way or the other uh, in these areas, right? So, um, let's challenge this again, which is the lower band of the gap. It's the 200, right? We're gonna get there. You have to, and instead of rejecting this, like we're using this as support, right? Let's invalidate this bearish order block, turn it into a bullish breaker block, right? Take what we're scared of happening here, flip it to be our strength, I guess, right? So we want to see price blow through this, right? Then retrace back into it. Like we could draw this, right? Let's have price kind of get back in here, up above it, retrace into it, and then we go. And that's actually really going to work out for us with the 200, with the bottom band of the gap. Clear the 200, clear the bottom band of the gap, right? And then turn them into support right? Which is what the bullish now breaker block would be doing from the bearish order block, right? And that is, we see it here as resistance a couple times. It's going to flip and become support, right? So, something we can see going forward. The demand zone becoming the supplier, vice versa, right? I'm mildly dyslexic. Today, this is our kind of our 1 day analysis there. Just bleeding down, right? We can't claim the 200, bleed down more, which is strange because the S&P 500 was up on the day, which is pretty wild, right? So, TikTok, let's see it. At this point, I don't think we're going to get an earnings run up. If earnings is good, the suppression has been so aggressive that it's become apparent that the levers or levy isn't opened until they say, right? We've seen a whole bunch of 5 puts, some 10 puts on the chain. I'm pretty certain that our upwards momentum isn't resuming until some of that downwards pressure is bled off, which is totally up to the holder of those contracts. So they do expire, but not for some time is the problem. It's not like they're suffering massive theta decay because they're approaching expiry. These are like 2026, 2027 contracts. So potentially we could be locked down for some time. Might not just be this one little lonely quarter. Could be a couple of them. Just a thought. I'm not trying to spook anyone. But we see that, right? And let's take a look at the options chain here as well. I kind of mapped it out a little bit, just to visually see where all the money was, right? Because I don't pay for unusual whales or anything like that. And maybe the channel gets big enough, we can incorporate paid data into the stream, right? But for now, we're getting by. Have you seen the price at GameStop? We got our borrow rate. Not anywhere. Utilization is still, I thought it'd be dropping as we got into earnings, right? We've been kind of 55, 65% here. I was expecting it to drop lower, and we're down from 100, which is good, but still there. IV's down second day in a row. Price is down second day in a row. HGG, well, I guess that kind of makes tomorrow a perfect day to buy options contracts, doesn't it? I'm going to pick up a couple. I've never been this close to earnings with the IV so low and the price so low. We've never been here. Always prices galloping into earnings, and earnings crush. There we go. It's gone. Maybe get one extra day to sell bonds. But nothing. We're not getting anything here. So typically we're at like 80 plus, getting up to like this is the highest IV ever goes, but it's still low. So why not some lottos? I'm gonna throw some money away. We're gonna pick out some option contracts too. I'll show you what I do. I'll burn some cash with you guys, or get rich. No, make rent anyway. So here's our options chain. What else do we have here? Borrow rates, utilization, available shares, which is whatever. Don't need that. Okay, let's take a look at max pain quick. Max pain for the week 2250. I was hoping we'd move up to 23. Nah, freaking no way, dude. Tomorrow's Thursday and then Friday, so even if tomorrow's good, I just can't see it moving up based on 1 day. It would really have to move up. So, honestly, this is probably right where we finish. We might finish a little bit above it because I think there's going to be some contracts being bought tomorrow. Like today is the Thursday, so tomorrow is Friday, right? I know I'm going to be buying my contracts tomorrow. I'm going to buy some maybe on Monday too if the price stays low, but Kind of expecting it to gap up on Monday. There's no way we don't get an earnings run up, right? Um, we look at so many of these contracts are out of the money. These weeklies ghosted. You know how sad that is to see? And that's when, we've seen these 30s being bought on the week. It's like, come on, you guys, that's crazy. You got to be buying those in the money. If you're that close to expiry, it's got to be in the money. And even then, you're probably getting cooked, but you'll lose less. It's not just gonna be one day and your contract's worthless because you had a red day, right? Um, so that's a lot of burnt capital that could have been better positioned on the chain to have an effect, right? Um, there's not much. 8,000, 6,000, 9,000. Look at these out of the monies. Um, these ones are less worrying because we have earnings as a potential catalyst to drive them in the money, right? However, these for this week, tomorrow, oh, you poor souls. And so we see that lots in, the options chain, um, even in the S&P 500, where you'll have a change in the state of delivery midweek, right? Where, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, green, Thursday, Friday, red, or vice versa, right? Um, and that's a lot to do with weeklies. People are buying weeklies on Monday if the market is green and we're all go. We've got a bullish bias, and then buying it up, green, green, green. I can't hold these contracts till Friday because the theta, I'm going to close them out halfway. Everybody closes out on Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, red, red, because all the momentum is gone, right? The hedge has been flipped. Vice versa. The market's red. I don't want to be buying these weeklies so early when they're just going to decay into a red market. Wait, wait, wait. You know, um, then we have our change in state. Then you can go long. And that is basically the opposite of people still acting in on Monday with a red market buying puts, for example, right? So they're going to buy those puts, drive it down, midweek close out because you're green. You should at least be scaling out, so on and so forth, right? So we get that, and you got to be taking profits on your weeklies, even closer into your weeklies. Any other time other than right now because we got earnings and you wouldn't want to, we don't have an earnings run up. So what are you selling into? But these, maybe a lot of them were more green on Monday when we had that nice spike up, right? Anywho, not a lot here, I guess is what I was saying, until our beloved 17th, my favorite day of them when I've been targeting. At which point we get a big chunk in the money. And then we get into the leaps, right? Jan 26. There's so much here. That's so crazy. A lot out of the money, right? But, so the cool thing is, there's a lot of weight here, right? A lot of the weight is out of the money, but it's post-catalyst, right? So maybe we get good earnings, flips the price up. All of this is now in the money, acting as massive support, right? And there's a good chance that a lot of these out of the money contracts aren't hedged because they're, the delta on them is negligible. They're expiring worthless, by all, percentage wise for now, right? That can change. So, kind of like totaling these up, right? So for September, most of our weights kind of at 25. It's at 26. A lot of it there. So, not a lot of it in the money. Very, very little, right? And we can go through that because there is some, but I'm just pulling out the bulk. So you see, we got down to 23, right? Even a little bit of 22s, but and that's for this week. At least the contract's getting melted. All these 30s are sad though. Even these 27s, 26s, 25s, 24s. 23s. Yeah, these are all getting melted. This is so sad, right? Because we're at 22.5 here. That's the thing, right? But these puts are getting melted too, right? And that's max pain, baby. House always wins. It should be called least max pain is what it should be called. You know? Max pain for everyone else. Anyway, so this week is gone. It's totally roasted. Moving out, we don't really have too much. It really is concentrated here at 25, right? So we're kind of just taking that. But there is some at 24, some at 23, a little bit lower. The 19th again, it's all concentrated at 25, right? So that's just kind of what we're keeping track of, like the 25 and 26 mark here. Was this 26? No, that's 25. This is 25. And then this must be the 26 week. Yes, okay. Right, so September is basically really concentrated 25, 26. There's some 24s and stuff as well. Then October, like these are dead weeks. The 3rd has like nothing. I mean, there's some stuff here, but it's all sub 1,000. October 10th even worse. But the 17th, right? These are new weeks, so they're not built out yet. The 17th is got a lot of 25s, but even some like a lot of 20s too, which is really nice because September didn't have a lot of in the money contracts. Not as many as you'd like to see. It's more out of the money contracts. But October's kind of got us covered. A lot of 20s here, a lot of 25s, and a lot of 30s. So, kind of from 15 all the way up to 35K. Really good support here in October. I like that. Then we go to January. Again, same thing, 20 to 30, 20, 25, 30, 30K up to 40K. So a lot of volume here, right? And that's kind of what we're thinking is there's enough theta for these to be held. There's probably not going to be a lot of IV crush because there is no IV. So you can probably hold them. And then if we do get a catalyst, throw the price up above here. We've got massive floor, right? Really good floor into the future that we can convert into a ramp. This is a hidden ramp in disguise. Don't tell anyone. Anywho, 27th. That's kind of where we're going next, I guess. Not much here, right? Kind of dead weeks, right? June has a little bit, I guess. 25, 30s, 45s. Don't be playing that far out of the money.com. Like you may as well buy 65s and go way out and just play the volatility, the Vega, right? Then January 27, a lot of 35s here, right? That's kind of the entirety of it. And I'm mentioning, some weight holding us down, I think, right? Just like this supports us up. We have weight holding us down. There are so many $5 puts here. It's crazy. In what world, And then on that similar note, we've got a literal buttload, 170,000 $5 puts. A lot of weight holding us down here, which dwarfs 25,000 30s, which is a lot. That should be a big spike, but you can't even tell. And then a lot of 50s here as well, which, fine, whatever. It's so far out in expiry that you can play that far out of the money if you want. I still don't love it, but if we get an extended run and you get to 50, you get above 50, 65, 70, these are going to be printing hard. So that's it. That's kind of the summary of the chain. A lot of 25s. We've got some 20s here a little bit further out holding us there, which is important. That's why they can't really get us below 20, I feel like. But we're going to need something to push us up above 25, up above 30, and then hold us there. Be a good enough catalyst that it's not a one and done. because this is only one part of the equation. Let's say, we get up to 30, we get up to 35, and now we get this brand new floor, and there's a bond offering. So make sure to scale out profits. You got to protect yourself, specifically with that the big B word. It's going to happen after hours. You're not trading your option contracts after hours. There's no extended market for that. So just make sure that you're scaling out profits. You can buy more option contracts later next cycle. Specifically when we do get, to that 35 mark, like you should be insanely green at that point, and it would behoove me not to scale up personally. So that's just my recommendation. You can leave runners by all means, but protect yourself. Protect yourself. That's number one, and then you can come back and play again. But if you don't protect yourself and something bad happens, you're not coming back, right? And coming back is the important part. So that's kind of what I've got for GameStop. Looking at the options chain, kind of support at 20, need a catalyst to push us up, but even then, you got to be careful of other things. Some contracts that I kind of going to go shopping for tomorrow. I don't want to be that guy, but I'm liking these 25s. So like maybe September 19th, 25 is okay. You could play it closer to the money, but I think I'm holding these through earnings. Like I'm buying these contracts under the assumption that we get a 20% pop on earnings. Typically, I would be buying it at the money, in the money, selling it on the earnings run up Monday afternoon, Tuesday afternoon. I just don't see that happening because we're already so close. Usually there's like a week-long run-up and then some. So I think a little bit of a different strategy this go around for myself. Buy it a little bit out of the money. Not too far. I don't want to be buying 30s by any means, but 24s, 25s, and then we're going to rely on GameStop and that good earnings. I like September 19th. And then so the further out in expiry I go, also the further out we can go in strike, right? Because we've got a little bit more time. But I still want to find a strike price with good liquidity, a nice open interest. So the spread isn't bad, right? There's a 2-cent spread here. Or sorry, 3-cent spread. 110 to 113, last is 112. If you look at a contract with less in it, like this has less than 1,000 open interest, the bid and ask is now a 12-cent spread, and that is like, as far as a percentage wise goes, you're opening your position red. You're gonna be red like the 20 or whatever percent right out of the gate. That's not good. So that's with the buys and the sells, right? It's not just one way, it's both ways. So that's the importance of picking the right strike with already some liquidity there so you can interact with the orders. So the 25s, it's really concentrated at the 25s. I'd like to play a little bit further out. Maybe we do 30s since it's October, and GameStop does really good earnings, but that's kind of getting risky. But I have to remember that our risk profile has changed because we haven't had an earnings run up, right? We're expecting that run up to happen post earnings. So we want to have time to hold the contract for a week or two to allow that earnings run up to play out, right? That post run up. And then some room for it to breathe within that strike. So I like the 30s for October, and I like the 25s for the 19th. I don't want to go 30s. People are playing a lot of 29s here. I don't think so. I'd play the 25s for September 19th, and then October 17th, the 30s. And if you really wanted to roll out, like, then the leaps are there. And that's whatever. Whether you go, Jan 26, which isn't even that far away anymore. I'd probably go Jan 27 at that point. Um, maybe 35s. Get in on that 35 train. Those are my 3 picks. Jan 2027 35s, October 19 30s, and September 19 25s. You could roll them in a little bit. These could stay. The 2027s could stay at 35. But you could, instead of taking 25s, there's still enough liquidity here. You could still play, well, that's not right. You could play in more if you wanted. Like, these are still fine. You could play at the money. And then maybe the, so like instead of October 30s, do October 25s, right? And then September, instead of 25s, do like 23s. Yeah, I like that. That's fine. So a little bit safer of a play, I guess. Always trying to balance risk. Either or would be fine. Just the first set would be a little bit more risky, but also would earn more if it does go. This is less risk, will earn less if it goes. Not terribly less, but it would be noticeable. Yeah, so 23s for September. October's, we go down to 25. Oh, no, that's not right. So it's just updating. Yeah, okay, so October 25s, and then the Jan 27s, the 35s. I'm going to write those down for myself as well. I just go like this. And can I also just go like this? Yeah, you can. We want those. We want our Octobers. These were 25s. Just pay attention to them. And then I can easily grab them tomorrow instead of going through this whole thing. And then September 19th, we wanted those at 23. Boom. Okay. These are the ones I like. There's been no run up yet. Yeah, I have to assume that earnings is going to be great. They're going to unleash the levy. We invalidate. First, we respect this bullish order block. We invalidate this bearish one, convert it into a breaker block that's bullish, right? Breakthrough, retest, and then fill the gap, right? So let's get a little crayon out here. I usually don't crayon much. A brush? Yes. So we're going to respect this level, right? We will invalidate this level, right? So we're going to bust through, come back in. This is where longs will go, right? Longs are really going to want to enter in on this breaker block. And then we fill the gap. That's definitely one way to go, a way I'd love to go. Other way, manipulation leg. and then we go in that similar pattern. Like I think we would still, if we got the manipulation leg first, come back through the order block, retest it, and go just like we would if we didn't get the manipulation leg. Just, whether we get it or not is maybe based on earnings. We'll see. That's all I've got for today. I hope you guys have a great day. We'll be around. If you ever need anything, just hit me up, and happy to answer any questions that you may have. Leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel. It really helps. Trying to grow this puppy out, and looking forward to next week. Cheers. We'll see you soon.